Check this out, y'all. Live and direct.
From the Whiskey 61 Lounge, it's Mississippi's only food sports show on the airwaves. We're the only World Food Championship host in the state. This is the Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds.
All right. Good morning. Welcome in. I feel like we weren't on for a while, but we're back. Out of Bounds, ESPN 105.9 The Zone, brought to you by Koestler Prime and the Renaissance. Great steaks. Very, very, very underrated seafood. But we're going to stay on the steaks and bourbon. I mean, I could dive into the grilled tuna, the salmon appetizer, the halibut, and so on, but we do mention the bacon wrapped shrimp a lot because you marry that with a ribeye or the rack of lamb, and then that's a big win. But we're excited to have our crew from Koestler Prime in studio showcasing some of our some cocktails from our new bourbon partner, and that is Wild Turkey. Underneath that portfolio is Long Branch, which is Matthew McConaughey's bourbon with Eddie Russell. They collaborated together. Also, Russell's Reserve and Wild Turkey 101, which is going through a rebranding too, and that's really hot, which is super cool. Last week I was in, and Kevin Tyner, who's with us, was kind enough to make me a Wild Turkey 101 Old Fashioned, and it was delicious. We were celebrating before my son had to go in and get his wisdom teeth taken out. He knew he wasn't going to be able to eat really well for a week, so smash some good food. We also have Chris Robertson on in studio, manager of Koestler Prime, and you can watch the show. Blake wants me to make sure you know that because Chris Robertson's going to be the second person to spin the wheel on the show, prize wheel. I usually do it. Chris is going to do it a little bit later, but you have to watch on YouTube, search Out of Bounds Sports, or watch on Facebook, search the Out of Bounds Show. Chris Robertson, good morning. Welcome in.
Hey, what's going on?
You doing well?
Good so far. Morning's just starting, but
and
so
you had
far.
A late night.
Oh, it's just everybody, not me having a late night. I was not out having a late night.
No.
We just had people
At
at
the
the
restaurant
late. So yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like herding cattle to get them out of there. But,
Sure.
You know, time to go home.
And then you had to be here at 9 a.m. Well, we appreciate Kevin Tyner, Chris Robertson showing up for us as they both worked last night at Koestler Prime. So you've been doing well?
Been doing really well, actually. Yeah.
So you're just...
Apparently now I'm the second person to spin the wheel, so I think things are only getting better.
We'll make you a celebrity before you know it. You know, Nathan thinks he's a celebrity. We have to reel him in that ego. So Nate Dogg...
Nathan, I'm sorry for anything they're saying.
Well, he knows the deal. All right, so you're kind of transitioning out of the legislative season.
Yes, which was, my gosh, just a roll. Kind of, you know, for us, like we keep thinking we're going to have this downtime.
Right.
We keep thinking that things are going to slow up. You know, we'll get some rest, we'll rebuild. But I feel like we've just been busy going from fall, like October, to Christmas, to hitting legislative season, to now I think we're just busier. We're just getting busier. So things are looking well for us.
Oh, yeah, well, and people are turning the corner from COVID. And that's kind of what happened with y'all on Christmas. I mean,
Yeah.
You're already busy every year, period, but then that kind of compounded with what had happened.
It's been such a strange ride since COVID.
No doubt.
We got
Especially
into the catering to-go business. I mean, it's just this. But I think everybody had to do whatever they could to survive.
Darn right.
So, you know, God bless anyone that could figure their way through all that.
And entrepreneurs figured it out, right?
Yeah. You
Scott-
just got to keep running. You can't stop.
Scott and Julie and the team kept on rolling. So, all right, and then y'all will do, I mean, you'll get into some wedding season. Y'all will have some
it's already started.
rehearsal dinners on certain nights, especially on Friday nights.
Friday night, I've got quite a big one for sure. You know, that's one of the funny things about COVID was we had people that had to postpone for a year to wait till COVID got out of the system of everybody. I mean, it's still around, of course, but you know, people are coming back out, doing more things, and they're rescheduling the same event that I spoke to them a year and a half ago. So it's like, yeah, we've waited long enough. Let's get this done.
Let's do this thing.
Yeah.
So 6 private dining rooms. Is that how it's set up?
6. So we have 6 private dining rooms and 1 semi-private dining room. So,
Okay. All right. 6, 1 semi-private. And I think Scott, last time I talked to him, told me they seat anywhere between like 12 to 180 or something crazy like that.
Those
the way
bigger
y'all
rooms,
can
yeah.
move that stuff around now.
We have done a lunch, which is an all buyout every year. And I keep thinking that we're maxing out, but somehow we keep finding more spots. But I think we're at 331
For the whole
somewhere in there
restaurant.
for the whole restaurant.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's 10,000 square feet.
10,000 square feet. All right. All right, we're going to start slinging some cocktails. Are you going to? Yeah, we're going to do the cocktails. We'll do the prize wheel in a minute. All right, great. Chris is going to tell me what we're doing. Chris, we'll get back into some Koestler Prime here in a minute as far as food and so on. Kevin Tyner's kind enough to put together some yummy cocktails. What are we doing this morning?
All right, so we're kind of all over the board, but it does have a theme. You've just got to bear with me. Now, you told me that you're about to go to Vegas, so I was thinking Vegas cocktails, you know, mob influence.
I love it.
Sinatra, you know, Dean Martin, all these kind of great classic cocktails, which you know I'm all about is the classic cocktail. It's kind of like with food. When you get into food, you start loving the bare essentials. Like it's not the sauce that's on the steak, but it's the taste of the steak itself that you start looking for, that kind of like altruistic approach to Epicureanism. That's kind of what these are. So they're not, you know, so many ingredients. And also I love people making drinks at home. You know, in cocktail making, there's science, there's artistry, there is pleasing the palate, but everybody can drink what they like. And you can do this stuff at home. So these are fairly simple, actually they're very simple drinks to make. Been around for 100 years. They're not going anywhere. Just like you were saying, 101's being rebranded, everything's becoming more popular again.
Right.
So Russell's is doing a great job with this. So we're going to be using Long Branch and Russell's Reserve for this. Long Branch would be the Eddie Russell, Matthew McConaughey collaboration. You and I were talking about how palatable it is. It's a great entry bourbon, entry craft bourbon.
Like
just
that.
Wonderful. It's got little vanilla notes. Matthew McConaughey collaborated for 24 months on this, kind of brought a Texas attitude to it.
Right.
So it's charcoal filtered, then it's refined through mesquite, which is the Texas collaboration with Kentucky. And in fact, he said that was the long branch of friendship that they had.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty good, Chris Robertson. Dang, that was strong.
Well, there's history in everything. All you got to do is find out a little bit more about something, and once you know more about something, it's immediately more special to you.
That's right.
So we're starting out with the Manhattan. Manhattan has its origins in 1880, somewhere around there. It's rumored that it was a collaboration between a nightclub called the Manhattan and Winston Churchill's mother, who invented it.
That's awesome.
But unfortunately, it was she was pregnant in London at the time, so it did come from one of their bars that they owned, which is a private club called the Club Manhattan.
Okay.
But still, 1880. It's been around.
1880.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So the Long Branch is smooth. It's wonderful. It's got, like I said, these great vanilla, charcoal, caramel notes. And that's going to stand up really great in the Manhattan, which traditionally uses something like rye. But everything's kind of changing. And that's kind of what happened in Vegas was people went back to bourbon. So I love this drink. It's one of my favorite drinks, actually.
Okay. So first off is the Manhattan.
Yes.
And that's as Chris said, it's classic. And I think you're also kind of, as you're walking us through this, you're talking about simplicity too.
It is simple, and the simple things are beautiful things.
Yeah. I mean, you know, because this thing got crazy where people were doing 18 different things in drinks, and it's funny how maybe it's shifted a little bit back to a little bit more classic simplicity.
If you want to take a rock and roll second with this for a metaphor,
okay,
it's kind of like how, okay, you've got these rolls where everything gets really intricate and big and poppy. You had disco getting to be as huge as disco was, and then punk came in and ripped it all to shreds.
Right.
You had 80s pop getting, you know, cocaine driven and synthesizer oriented, and then grunge came in and just pulled it back down to simplicity. Kind of the same things as cocktails. I have nothing against elaborate mixology. I've had drinks that have blown me away, and I just can't even believe that they came up with this. But
Look
still,
at this.
This was mixed from 2 bottles.
Thank you, Kevin.
2 bottles and a bottle of bitters that you can get anywhere. So
you can get it at Nate Dogg's spot.
You can get it
Wine
at
and
Briarwood.
Spirits, baby.
Also known as Nate Dogg's spot.
All right, Chris.
Cheers.
All right, so this is a Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask a science question about the drink? Because, I love this.
Absolutely.
Why do you serve the Manhattan up, or is that like something you're supposed
Doesn't
to
have
do?
to be. That's completely preference.
Why did you choose to, I guess? Because you always make conscientious decisions.
I
with
like
your
the
drinks.
Manhattan up. And
I love the look. I do too.
kind of when we were talking about science, when we talk about the science of steaks and how fat is rendered and you need those juices to get flowing. With cocktails, getting them cold involves water. So as you stir it more, water starts melting, becomes a little more diluted, and that doesn't mean that it's getting to be watered down. The drink itself is becoming more spaced out and more palatable. So this is the gentle blend of sweet vermouth and bourbon. The vermouth we're using is Carpano Antica, which is kind of like one of the world's first bottled cocktails, because it was an Amaro, which is an Italian bitter, and vermouth kind of put together.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's way over my head, but I love it.
So the science, again, of the ice, real quick. Go ahead.
Chris and Blake, cheers again. This Manhattan, the way they did it, Blake, it does remind me of old Vegas.
Right? It does.
Right? Chris mentioned earlier, referenced Sinatra and the Brat Pack and all that, or the Rat Pack.
Not the 80s.
Right. Thinking Rob Lowe, and now I'm going back to Sinatra. But doesn't it remind you of old style Vegas?
This is absolutely. So this has one of my favorite Frank Sinatra quotes all about it. He said, and it's garnished with just a bourbon cherry. It doesn't need to be frilly. It doesn't need to have like all kinds of dehydrated fruit and stuff like that, which does look great in other drinks.
Amen to that.
But Frank Sinatra once said, the only reason I should have a vegetable or something leafy in my drink is because I fell down in a garden.
That's pretty good.
It's an elite line.
It is an elite line. Out of Bounds, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. We're visiting with Chris Robertson and Kevin Tyner with Koestler Prime. And Kevin just made a delicious Manhattan with Russell's. All right, cool. And we're going to do something else here in a second. That is fabulous. And I'll be there tonight. I may have to have one again, but I may have to take a nap. So I want you to tell the steak story again, but we'll go with the next cocktail. Are we doing another cocktail?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we've got one more coming
All
up.
right, let's because of time, we'll keep it rolling because you still have to spin the prize wheel.
Can't miss that.
Yeah, tell people.
I still can't believe we're doing this.
Why not? You got to tune in and
All right,
watch.
yeah, watch on YouTube, search Out of Bounds Sports. Watch on Facebook, search the Out of Bounds Show. Chris Robertson, manager of Koestler Prime, is going to spin the prize wheel, and we'll give away a couple of prizes. You've got to comment on there. That's how you enter. You can say, my favorite steak is the ribeye, the strip, the filet.
There you go.
My favorite bourbon is, well, we hope it's going to eventually be what we're talking about, but this is my favorite bourbon drink. My favorite vino is a red blend or a Merlot or a Malbec, whatever. So just say hey to us. That's how you enter, and you could win. All right, Chris. Cocktail number 2, this Manhattan is delicious. And I love the Sinatra quote.
This cocktail number 2 is going to be made with the Russells, which is the Boulevardier. So another drink entrenched in history. This one comes out around 1927, something like that. And the cool thing was you had prohibition happening. So all these bartenders from the U.S. really didn't have a job. So they went to Europe, and they started learning all of these European techniques for making cocktails, including foreign spirits, such as using vermouth again, just like we had in the Manhattan, these Italian Amaros. We're also going to be using Campari in this, which is fantastic. We love Campari.
Yes.
Campari is going to be giving great grape note fruits to it, really essence of oils, of citrus, nice little bitter component as well. And this first appeared in a French magazine called the Boulevardier, which had a cocktail section on the back, and this drink just took off from it.
Boulevardier.
Boulevardier.
Boulevardier. I'm saying that right, I think. I
You sound
that
very
name.
fancy.
It is. Very, very much so.
So this is like a Manhattan riff. If you want to think about it in its simplest terms, it's a Manhattan with a little Campari and a citrus twist added to the top.
Nice. All right.
So again, 2 drinks, very easy to make at home with buying just a few bottles.
Yeah. Simplicity.
Simplicity.
All right. Chris Robertson on the Out of Bounds Show. Blake, how are we looking here? I think we've got a few minutes because the last 3 minutes can be Chris doing the prize wheel. I'd like for Chris to do the deal again, talking about the stakes and where he totally changed my deal starting a year. I don't remember when it was, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. I had been living on rare steak, and those are still great, and I still love to get a rare steak. And I never had thought about getting my steak medium. So then I went up to medium rare, and I've actually been in Koestler or at my house and started to eat steaks medium. Talk about what you said a couple of times ago when you were in studio about, hey, no, you can eat them medium rare, medium, and they're still great.
I think I told you, let us cook it for you.
Right.
Just let us cook it for you. I mean, this is where you get all the flavor is from cooking. The steak itself is going to have tons of flavor, and the quality of the steak is going to speak for itself. But really, cooking it, rendering that fat, letting those juices circulate through the meat, that's what's going to give you that great flavor. The taste of the char from the grill, the burning and seasoning of the seasoning that's on top, which is our own Koestler Prime seasoning, mind you, which is fantastic. We put it on almost everything. French fries.
Yes.
It's unbelievable. But that's the stuff that makes the flavor come through. And going into simple versions as well, you don't have to coat a steak in sauce to have it taste like something, which I find like a lot of lesser steaks do.
Right.
I think that's actually how like steak sauce comes about.
Yeah. So what, 90% of the time, where do you go on temp?
90% of the time, medium rare to medium.
Okay.
Right in there. I'd hardly
That's
ever
where
go
I'm
under.
living now.
I
And
used to,
my steaks are better.
Yeah, I used to love. I still love Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's my favorite.
I love cool in the center and that char. You know, Scott can do it and Ricky. But the first time I ever saw Koestler do it, he did it with the New York strip, and I was like blown away. I was like, "What in the world is happening here?" Yeah.
And it takes an artist to do that without burning it.
Right.
You know, there's a difference between.
I tried it the next week. It didn't work.
There is a difference between a nice charred sear and burn. Burn tastes like charcoal, straight char. Now a little bit of carbon to your taste, to your steak tastes delicious.
Right.
Oh, get the nose off of this. This is that citrus
It
component.
smells fabulous. Is it? All right.
This,
well,
this
with
was
what you
and
two
still
have done
is
to that
one of my
bar
favorite.
program, then that's impressive because Kevin just said this is one of his favorites. And Nate just gave y'all a shout out and said that you and Kevin have taken the bar program to another level.
We tried. The bar at Koestler, it's a balance between volume and maintaining standards and not slipping.
Sure.
Not becoming a speed bar, but getting things out fast. You still have to have, all my bartenders are super qualified. They make amazing drinks really fast.
Right.
And that's the magic behind it.
Yeah. And when it's packed, there's got to be a lot of magic sprinkled around, right?
So I use this as a litmus test or a benchmark, if you will, but I personally buy all the drink picks for Koestler. And they only tell me when they run out. So then I have to go and buy 7,000 drink picks that you just can't find other places. Oh, my God.
Kevin Tyner just let Chris know, hey, we need some more.
It's a 7,000 at a time, and I have to buy these all the time. And we're not throwing them away. Each of them are going in a cocktail.
Nice. All right, Chris Robertson, Koestler Prime on the Out of Bounds Show. Give me one more 30 seconds or less on this, what we're drinking now, and then we're going to have 3 minutes for Chris to spin the prize wheel about 3 times. You'll want to watch on YouTube, search Out of Bounds Sports, or Facebook, search the Out of Bounds Show. Chris?
All right, so the Boulevardier, deeply entrenched in history, been around a long time, not going anywhere. In fact, if you haven't tried one before,
crush that.
You need to try one. Order it at the next place. Almost anybody can make it. You can make it at your house. In fact, make both of these cocktails at your house. Tell people a story. You know, when people come over, one of the things I tell to tables all the time when I'm explaining cocktails is, this is your story now. Tell it. This is amazing. Right. Just like my story about Pittsburgh, or, you know, how drinks came about to be drinks. But sound like you know what you're talking about.
This guy mixed in Sinatra and Churchill's mom in one segment.
He came prepared.
Kevin Tyner is making some delicious drinks, including this Manhattan earlier, and I don't want to forget about that. And now the Boulevardier. Did I say that right?
You said it amazingly.
Wow. All right, we're going to spin the prize wheel.
Let's do it.
All right, Chris, so here's the deal. You just go like that.
I'm familiar with the process.
Okay.
You just told him how to spin a wheel.
Well, I didn't want him to, do this. You know, but then I also didn't want him to, in the falls backwards.
Chris, proud of you for taking it. Don't take that lip.
I think everybody should know there's one award on here that says autographed beer can from Bo Bounds.
We'll see if you can spin it for him. We're giving the first one to Lyle.
All right, Lyle.
R.
You're on the clock, big dog. Here we go, Chris Robertson.
Okay.
First celebrity spin of all time.
This is the first celebrity spin.
Sure, you're the only one who's ever spun it.
That's true.
Fan club.
Fan club.
Yeah, we haven't even
don't
figured
know
out what that is yet.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
Well, it does.
It's a mythical award.
Yes. Blake just put it on the prize wheel this morning. We've already had people texting, as you can see. Here's our text line. And boom. Look, people are talking about strip medium rare Pittsburgh. Amazing.
There you go.
Perfect.
So he's part of the fan club. I guess that means he gets to come up and have a cocktail at some point.
As somebody said, bourbon with the boys.
By the way, if nobody's ever seen this place, it's pretty phenomenal.
Thank you for saying that, man. That means a lot to us.
In fact, you should go online and see some of the videos of it.
That's right.
That wasn't a plug.
Smart man.
That. I like the way Chris Robertson thinks.
Kevin P.
Kevin P. is on the clock.
All right, one more?
Yeah.
Back to like we're in the NFL draft.
I know. Come on, can of beer.
That's margin.
Edwin
right
Watts.
there.
That looks like it's Edwin Watts
Does that
to
need
me.
to have a mulligan? It's right on the line.
You tell me.
That's Edwin Watts.
Edwin
golf
Watts.
shot.
That's what I thought. All right, Edwin Watts for Kevin
Somebody
P.
just won a dozen golf balls from Kerry. So that's pretty
There
darn
you go,
good.
Kevin.
It's perfect.
Congrats.
That's awesome, especially this time of year with what the weather looks like the next 5 or 6 days.
All right, one more
Blake,
real quick.
you want to do one more before we close it out?
Drew S.
Kevin Tyner, thank you so much, by the way, brother. Chris, go ahead.
This one's
more
for
spin.
Drew. Drew
Yeah.
S.
Drew is on the clock.
Come on, big money, no whammy.
Oh, Tito's.
Tito's
Y'all
swag.
pour a little bit of this at Koestler Prime, right?
Pour so much of this.
All right, Tito's swag for whoever that was, Blake. Chris Robertson, thank you, buddy.
I had a
appreciate
blast.
it.
Love coming on.
Kevin Tyner, thank you. Very talented. Our program at another level at KP, and that was even from Nate Dogg, and you know what a snob he is at Briarwood Wine and Spirits. Thanks, Chris Robertson. Thanks, Kevin Tyner with Koestler Prime. Thanks for listening. If you missed any of the show, you can go to Apple Podcast or Spotify and get the podcast. Just search Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds. This video will be posted too, again, on YouTube. Search Out of Bounds Sports, or Facebook. Search the Out of Bounds Show. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. It'll be game day. Mississippi State and Ole Miss in Oxford.